welcome back. Today we have another craft video and an episode discussion of episode 9 of the Amazing Digital Circus. I really wanted to do another craft video specifically to talk about the episode because my last craft video came out before it was widely released online and I didn't want to spoil it. But I didn't really have any ideas, but what I did have is a lot of leftover paint, all surface, in blue and gray. So I thought to myself, what other character is bluish or grayish? And then it hit me. Only the greatest character there is in the show, Bubble. So I had this smiley face mug just laying around, not doing anything. And we're gonna try and paint this and turn it into Bubble. All right, now this is a pretty bright yellow that we're starting with a base of, so it might be a little tough. I don't know how this is gonna go. But at the very least, we get to talk about the episode. Okay, which I did see in theaters. Okay, I don't even know. I took, this mug was actually a flower pot from a flower thing I ordered for my mom. She said I could use this, of course. And to prepare, I cleaned it with a steel wool pad. That's supposed to, trying to get some of that gloss off. It's a very glossy finish. I was worried the paint would just slide right off, but we're definitely gonna need a few coats, but so far, so good. Okay. And if the black smile bleeds through all the coats of paint I'm gonna put on, well, that's fine, because Bubble is basically just a smiley face with teeth. Okay. So in my last craft video where I made Ming, where is Ming? Who has now become pretty much the mascot of my channel because he's my new profile pic. I said that I couldn't review episode 9 without spoiling it. And I know that's a sign of a bad reviewer if you have to spoil it to review it. It was just in this specific particular case, I felt like I had to say that I was so, first off, before I get into this, because what I'm about to say is going to sound pretty negative, this is an overall very positive review. I had a great time at the theater. It made me really happy. But I was so disappointed that they didn't escape the circus. I so wanted to see them escape the circus. And when it became clear very early on in the movie slash episode that wasn't going to happen and that they were, in fact, brain scans with no bodies, I was really disappointed. I was in denial, really. I'm like, no, they have to get out. But no, yeah, they were just brain scans. They didn't have bodies. I was really wanting to see them escape. So that was disappointing. And about half of the episode is them dealing with the fallout of that revelation and that realization. They start working together to put the circus back together. They start opening up to each other to try and get through this hard time emotionally. And I got some paint on my wall. And to opening up, Jax can't do that. He abstracts. That's the other half of the episode is dealing with him. So Pomni, when I saw the scene where Pomni has a gun and she's facing off against the abstracted Jax, I thought she was just going to shoot him or something. Like it's just of mice and men and she's taking him out of his misery. But no, she was like, Pomni goes into Jax's abstracted state. I don't think I'll do the inside, by the way. And I know that's awkward because you're looking from the top. So you're going to be seeing a lot of yellow. So Pomni goes into Jax's abstracted state, and she's able to see his memories and his, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. And some of his imagination of what would happen if other people abstracted. I have a funny joke about this that I wrote out, and it works better written, but I'll say it. It's Jax's plans for what to do if someone abstracts. If Ragatha abstracts, attack Pomni, sad. If Zubul abstracts, if Gangle abstracts, attack Zubul, funny. If Zubul abstracts, make a pass at Gangle. And that was his plan. And then Pomni... One of my favorite scenes in the episode, she goes into this room where there's all these different versions of Jax sitting around at a table. It reminded me of all things of the Umbrella Academy finale, which, talk about a bad finale, P.U. That was a terrible, terrible last season of television. But there's a scene where number 5, the character, that's his name, goes into a deli that's populated entirely by versions of him. I guess it's kind of different from what we see in Digital Circus. But after, kind of a comic relief scene in the purest sense, in that, as even said in the scene, like, the whole episode is just sad and dark, and then we finally get the funny. Well, the scenes before that were funny, but we're finally getting a little levity. Then we go right back into the seriousness, and we see Jax's memories, first-person point of view, and I'll talk about those after I let my mug dry a little bit. Again, I'm sorry, that I'm doing the outside and you're kind of getting a view of the inside. I wonder what I could do on the inside. Maybe some blue? I'll decide later. This is just the first coat. All right, let's do another coat of gray to cover up some of this yellow, because it's very bright. And then we'll start looking at the blue and the white that I have here. Okay, so we see Jax's memories starting from before he was even in the circus, so live action footage, or live action flashes, I should say, because it's very brief, to when he first got to the circus. And as alluded to earlier in the episode, yes, his transition seemed a lot more chaotic than even Pomni's was. And we see his friendship with Rivet. And then there's a big emotional scene where it's just him and Rivet, and they're in Rivet's room, and they're opening up about their past, and Rivet really wants Jax to trust her. So he starts telling her about his past before the circus. And it's a great scene. He's talking about how he had a strained relationship with his parents, and how one day he got into a fight with his mom. He revealed some really personal secret about himself to her, and her reaction was first to laugh, then to berate him, and then finally to reach out and hug him. They don't say what the secret is, they don't spell it out, but based on the context clues, it's most likely that Jax is transgender or some kind of genderqueer. I'm still going to use male pronouns for the rest of this video. I'm going to explain why later. This explains a lot of Jax's reactions in the past. We've seen that he's very self-conscious about what people think of him, and he doesn't want to be laughed at. That was his biggest fear, even in episode 8, because that's the reaction his mom gave him when he came out, when he was vulnerable. And we see why it's so hard for him to open up to people, because he's afraid to get laughed at and berated, and he associates it not just with the pain of being berated and laughed at, not taken seriously, but what happened next is that when his mom tried to hug him, she pushed her down. He pushed her away, and she got on the floor and didn't get up. And Jax chose to run away and live on the street without ever seeing if she was, alive, if she was just messing with him. Well, not messing with him like the way he messes with other people, but trying to make him feel guilty by pretending to be dead, or if she actually was seriously hurt. And if you ask me, I feel like that's almost the worst part of it all, because he didn't even know if he killed his mother or not, so he had all that guilt. And he didn't even know. And of course that guilt would only be worse because Rivet wanted him to trust her, and he said he did. He really didn't. And after that, he became very paranoid. He didn't want his secret to get out. It ruined their friendship, and we see the fight they had at the wintry, snowy adventure. And then she abstracts, and we see a lot of some events from his point of view, both, with that abstraction, what happened later, and some stuff that we saw in the show, but from a different point of view. Alright, there's another coat of paint. My biggest complaint about the whole episode and the whole film is this. During these memory scenes, every so often, it'll cut out to be like the abstraction, like static. And you know, when it's between memories, I don't care. But when you have this long scene and it keeps getting interrupted every 15 seconds, that did start to piss me off. But it's a great scene. It explains a lot. We get a lot of context. There's a lot of scenes you can go back to now and understand a little better. Like in episode 6, when he pushes away Pomni, who's hugging him, and he looks at his hand like, what have I done? Obviously, that's what he did to his mother. He pushed her away when she hugged him. And one of my favorites to look back on is episode 5, the stargazing scene. I never thought that Ragatha was making a bitchy comment, mocking Jax for his friend abstracting. I always thought when she's like, not anymore, she was talking about maybe they used to be friends, but not anymore. I think that's what. Well, now we get confirmation that she did consider him a friend before Ribbit abstracted. And not only that, but when she's kind of like blustering afterwards, like, no, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean, it's because she promised him she would never say Ribbit's name again. So she can't really explain herself. Like, no, I didn't mean Ribbit, I meant me. That's what I think. We get a lot more context. We even know now we kind of have a good idea how Jax ended up in the circus. He was probably in the CNA building, because it's abandoned. It's an abandoned building, and he was homeless. He was looking for somewhere to stay. So we get a lot there. And we get to see some things that, we see the Gangle arriving in the circus and how he gave her name, which I think Gooseworks explained that on her Tumblr. Oh, Jax gave her the name. And I think we see Pomni, but we definitely see the moment after Kaufmo abstracts. When you watch that episode, it's like, oh, he just runs away in a Looney Tunes fashion. Like, no, he was really upset after that. We just didn't see it. And now that we, the audience, and Pomni know all this, it leads Pomni to finally talk to the real Jax at the heart of it all. And they have a big emotional moment. And it just really swells. And right when you think, I thought, maybe this was enough to pull Jax away from the edge, and Pomni was actually going to save him, but that doesn't happen. Instead, everyone else in the circus pulls Pomni away from the abstracted Jax before she gets sucked into him. So they save her. Well, she's still kind of glitching, but they save her mostly. But they don't just throw abstracted Jax in the cellar or anything. They build a giant version of the Pillow Fort, referenced episode 3, and they put abstracted Jax in there where he can be calmer, and they could still see him. And they're all together. They're happy now. They accept that they're stuck here, but they're going to make the best of it because they have each other. And, of course, there's a big montage of images of Jax. I'm sure you've heard a certain song. Another complaint. I'm getting so sick of hearing the opening bars of Isn't She Lovely? Because in the episode, it's great. But I keep hearing it on, like, Instagram and whatever. I'm so sick of it. And that's that half of the episode. Then we go get back to the other half, and we get Kane again. Kane returns. Now, a lot of people have problems with how Kane returns in the episode because he just kind of shows up. It doesn't bother me because we never knew exactly what Kinger did to Kane. He even says it at the time. He's like, I think I killed Kane. We don't know that Kane is dead or deleted or erased or anything like that. So I guess he was just rebooted or something, and he was hiding when he got rebooted or something. And that doesn't bother me. I'm a little bothered by why color suddenly returned to the circus when before it was all gray. But maybe I'm just missing something, and I have to rewatch the episode. I probably should. That's probably it. So Kane returns, and even though he's not a human, he's learned his lesson. Seeing them all, be better off without him. It taught him that, he can't force them to stay or whatever. he changes, you know, and he willingly gives up the blue AI that he ate in the opening to episode 8. And he goes and he connects to, this did make me laugh, some public cafe Wi-Fi. And he ventures out into the void. Not even he knows what's out there. Well, he does now. There's Wi-Fi, and he connects to that. And then he makes his grand return, and he heals Pomni, who's still glitching from getting too close to Jax. So Kane gives control of the circus to the humans, and more importantly, he uses what he found on the internet to show them their real selves, who, as determined at the beginning of the episode, walked into the CNA building, put on the headset, had their brains scanned and their consciousness uploaded to the circus, but then they walked away and lived normal lives, unaffected. And we get to see them. They're all doing really well. We get Pomni's real name is Abby, Ragatha Susie, and she left her toxic mother and family behind. Zubal is Riley. They own a bar. Gangle is Zoe, and Zoe became an artist. Kinger is Grant, and he's still with Queenie, who's Destiny, and they actually have 2 kids. And we also see Jax, whose name is Leroy, who's fine. The police, I'm guessing he didn't kill his mom because the police didn't come after him. He's not homeless anymore. He has friends. He's doing really well. He hasn't come out as transgender or anything. That's the explanation I promised on why I'm still using the male pronouns, because when we see him in the real world, he hasn't come out or anything yet, so who knows what he goes by. And yeah, it's pretty happy. It's very cathartic to see them all happy. And there is kind of an understanding, like, you know what? Abby can be out there. I'm happy to be Pomni in here. And, you know, I was gonna reference this in my last video and just mark it as a minor spoiler, but it ended up getting cut. My new channel handle is Gabby Adventures 57. If you look up Abby Adventures 57 on YouTube, that's Pomni's YouTube channel. And it is a real channel too. It doesn't have any posts, but it has a banner that's an abandoned building, so maybe that's what the building looked like. And that's pretty much the episode. It ends with a montage, well, more than one actually, because over the credits there's one. But it's just a lot of them having fun together. Kane is basically one of the humans now. He's not the leader. He's not running the show or trying to control them at all. And they just managed to, you know, make the circus a better place where they can have a good, if stagnant, life. And they built like I said, they built a fort for abstracted Jax. And we see him pretty calm in there, still in his form, abstracted form, but he's still around. And that's how the digital circus ends. Okay, what should I do next for the bubble? Because, well, here's a question. Obviously, well, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but let's say between episodes 4 and 5, maybe, or even before that, I guess that's when the Netflix money really kicked in, because compared to the pilot, the animation got so much better. And I feel like the most obvious way you can see that is with Bubble, who goes from looking like, you know, fine, but to like rainbow and shiny. And so what color do I make him on this mug? I mean, this blue's looking nice, but I think I need to mix it and make it a little more gray. And let's see. Okay, where was the smile? Can we still see it? Okay, let's see. Where would that smile be? I guess you can't see it. Good, that's good. That means it's covered up really well. When this is done, I don't expect that it'll be food safe or anything, but like I said, this was a flower pot originally, so no one was gonna drink out of it or anything. So that's fine. Let's let it dry a little. There's also an after credit scene where we go back to live action. All of the real world stuff is live action, by the way. And we go back to live action, and all the human counterparts are standing at a bus stop together, but in the real world they don't know each other, so, you know, they're just strangers. They just get on the bus and nothing happens. And speaking of extra stuff in the episode, if you saw it in the theaters, there was like a little animated extra at the front, you know, telling you not to spoil it. It's Return of the Ugly Fish. So that was great. And also a little recap. It's pretty funny. I do want to call out, they used the joke that Kinger's gone crazier than a crazy person. Very funny. They did use a very similar joke in the merch commercial for after episode 5, where using Maid Jax as a cleaning tool will make it cleaner than a clean thing. Well, yeah, that's the show. Like I said, in the beginning, I was very disappointed. I was sad. I wanted to see them escape, and they didn't. By the end, and watching all that Jax stuff and everything, I really accepted the ending, for a couple of reasons. I'm mixing the paint. I want it to be a little gray, but a little blue, and maybe I'll use some of that white. Either way, I'm going to need the white for the teeth. First off, I have to admit, this ending does make the most sense. And it's not just logically, like, how would they survive without food and water? My thought is, like, they'd be sucked into the headset body and all. But this makes more sense logically, but also thematically. I mean, like, episode 7 was their episode about escaping, and they, you know, it wasn't successful, but they already did that story. They're not going to do it again. And, you know, the whole thing, it kind of was well foreshadowed. I mean, the reason that they know so quickly that they're brain scans is because it was in the last episode. If you look closely, you could clearly see the brain scan folder. And going back even more, I mean, truth be told, I always hated the Gummy Goo stuff in episode 2 because I thought that it was a little cringy to me when I was first starting into the show. It felt like they were trying too hard to be deep. And, you know, I don't mind Gummy Goo as a character. Like, when he comes back in episode 4, I like him enough. And it's a shame because the rest of that episode 2 is pretty great, especially it's one of the best locations for an adventure. But, I mean, that kind of was foreshadowing. I mean, you have Gummy Goo coming to terms with, I'm nothing, I'm not real, I'm just an NPC. I mean, to an extent, these people, all the characters there, they are real people, but they're not the people, you know? They're just brain scans, so that's kind of foreshadowing, too. And another reason, when that's way too gray, I need more blue. You can tell this is going to be one of the last coats, because I want to get it perfect. And another reason is, when I was still a little upset, so I sat down to think about it, and I thought, you know, why do I want to see them escape the circus? And I think there are 3 main reasons why you'd want to escape if you were in Pomni's shoes. At first I only came up with 2, but now I have 3. Number 1, you want to escape because you want to get back to your life. You know, maybe you have family who's going to miss you if you suddenly go missing. Number 2, and this is what I thought of later, you know, it's kind of the mystery of it all. You don't know what's going on. And, you know, no one wants to live with that kind of uncertainty. And number 3 would be that the circus isn't actually a good place. The adventures are torture. You want to escape that. But by the end of the episode, none of those things are true anymore. They know who they are, and they know that their lives of their loved ones are not being affected by this. And they have the power now to make the circus whatever they want. It's like Jack said in episode 6. At least you can do whatever you want. So, I mean, they don't have a reason to leave anymore. They're happy now. So I can accept that. And most importantly, when I really thought about it, I think that I really thought about it, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm grateful that, even though I didn't get what I want and I was disappointed, I'm grateful that a silly little cartoon about characters who are, most of them are basically toys in a video game, that this silly, colorful little cartoon could make me feel so attached to these characters and so invested in their fate. And, you know, then I was just grateful for it. You know, whatever the ending was, I'm grateful that I was able to go along for the ride. And I've got to say, seeing it in theaters like that, it really was special. I mean, being around so many people, all in their merch, with their merch and their costumes. I had a shirt. I had the I Can Make Her Worse shirt. And, you know, it really left me feeling really just happy and satisfied. So, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a bad ending. Let's see. What else am I missing? Anything else I need to talk about the episode? I talked about the after credit stinger. And next I want to talk about where the show could go from here. Because Gooseworks has said, I believe Gooseworks Tumblr said that the ending would be so definitive that there wouldn't be any way that they could do a season 2. And I've got to say, I don't think that's true at all. I really think they could do another, I think they have enough material for a whole other season if they wanted to. Or at the very least, they could do like an extra episode or something just to check in on them. Let's see. All right. So does the extra gray make it look more like Bubble, less like Bubble? Let me carefully put it up. I mean, most of the threads that we had were resolved. And if it never came back, you know, I wouldn't be like, hey, but what about this? What about that? But there's plenty left. There's plenty of meat left on the bone if you want to go back to these characters. Let's see. Let me pull out my Bubble toy here. Yeah, he's got a bluey gray. Let's see how it looks when it's dry. And then we'll decide if it needs another coat to change the color. And I'll talk about where I think the show could go, because I think you absolutely could do more episodes. Will Gooseworks want to? After the ordeal of becoming the biggest thing on YouTube and all the fame therein? Probably not. Let's see how much money this movie makes. I think my favorite part of the episode, movie, whatever you want to call it, was, I'm going to have to go with the Jack stuff. You know, seeing his twisted fantasies, and then meeting his other forms, all playing poker together, throwing bottles at the one playing the piano, and even the serious stuff, you know, all his flashbacks were great. Saw Gangle arriving in the circus. My favorite episode of the 9, I've always kind of liked episode 5. I think you could probably tell that based on, in this video, I've referenced both the trailer to episode 5 and the commercial that came after episode 5 to advertise the Jax plush. It's mostly because Ragatha's my favorite character. Also, it's just kind of a silly episode when they get a lot of concepts out. I don't think it's perfect. There are a lot of scenes in TADC that kind of make me cringe. And I definitely think, you know, when it gets more serious at the Fireflies stargazing adventure, that's kind of part of it. That kind of, But it's a very important scene. Like I said, it is foreshadowing what we learned in this episode. Yeah. How's that look? I wish I made the mouth bigger. But let's see. I do another coat on this. And unfortunately, our friend Bubble did not rejuvenate with Kane. So he has not returned to the circus. I know. Yeah, another reason I like episode 5, the most bubble. Okay, let's see. Okay. I know I should wait until this is done drying, but this video is long enough. My computer is freaking out. I can't load all the videos I want. Getting his big, sharp teeth. It reads. Okay. Alright, I'll probably do some touch-ups. I want to clean off this bottom part. I always intended for that to stay yellow. Just because, you know, Bubble's round. He doesn't have this part on the bottom. Let me get the streak of white on the handle and such. Give that another coat. Yeah, like I said, when I left, you know, part of it was bittersweet, just because it's like this show I've loved for so long. I didn't follow exactly from the beginning, but, let's see, I guess I started watching between episodes 2 and 3, and, part of me was sad that the show I really loved and really connected with was ending. But the way I really coped with it was, you know, like I said, you know what, when I saw this in theaters, I was so happy, and this silly show, it meant so much to me. I'm so grateful to Gooseworks and Glitch and everyone who made that possible, and it was just worth it, you know, because I just left feeling, like all weekend I was on cloud 9, just so overjoyed to just have been a part of this. So I was sad it was over, but I was happy it happened. Oh, it's a little wide, but whatever. It's art. And yeah, so it's just, I really did love this show. And I'm sad it's over, but I'm happy that it happened. I'm just going to do a few more touch-ups here and there, but you don't need to see that. So I'm going to end this video now while I still have space on my computer. That's a lie. I don't have any space left on my computer. It's full. But thank you all so much for watching. I considered buying another case of the new Animinis that just came out. The Abstracted series, which I'm surprised that's where they went. Just because some of the other ones were a lot more creative than them all being abstracted. I decided not to, mostly because, like, the chaser, like, if I got a ribbit, it'd be too good to sell. I'd have to keep it. But then I'd have something that I know would be worth a lot of money, and, you know, it would just stress me out, so it's not worth it. And I'd want the other chaser, too, because the other chaser is Queenie, and I couldn't separate Kinger and Queenie again. Not after last time. So, ta-da! Bubble! In all of his round, bubbly glory. So if you want to make your own... Let me clean that up. So if you at home want to make your own bubble mug and you happen to have a nice round mug around, all you'll need is, like I said, the mug. So let me find a clean brush. And I used this multi-surface paint, satin multi-surface. You know what? I think I'll paint over it with more white, like another stripe here. He's a bubble, he's round. There. Shiny. Voila! Thanks for watching! Now back to the show!